Ever since a baby, I've been trying to get away, trying to lock in the guap, trying to block with the pain. I'm a blind little boss, I'm on top of the game. I've been plotting a lot, now I'm tossing your bait. Yeah, my pops got caught, didn't lock them away. My mom fought hard, 5 jobs in a day. I'll be dropping the box, but I'm copping the pain. We off to the stars of a tropical place. Ooh, yeah, I'm spitting it heavy, the mission is steady. Your bitch is a jelly, I'm ditching the petty. You're digging for pennies, I'm itching and ready. I open my heart when I listen to Shetty. I'm bold like a boss, but I'm little like Debbie. I know it's your boss, I got richer than Getty. I'm holding the guap and I'm whipping the Yeti, yeah, Kari can play with advanced moves. I'm fucking my girl and her man too. I'm taking the ball like the ran do. My soul is the one that I can't lose. I soak up the sun like a sand dune. I'm holding up love with the bamboo. I'm rolling the blunt by the candle. Taking the game, running it back without taking a drink. Yeah, I'm the one and I'm making a wave. Rolling the blunt and I'm blazing a J. I'm escaping the brain, go straight for the cake. I'ma take to the bank, now taking a break. I'm made for the race, I pray for the day. I wake with a bake in a great estate.
Welcome back, everybody. It's time for Thursday Night Football.
Yeah, let's go. Week 15 of this NFL season. Only 3 more weeks to go. Yeah, 3 more weeks to go, right? Still getting used to the longer seasons and bye weeks and all of that. But yeah, 3 more weeks to go, coming to the end, and we have a really clear picture. And Jay, in a lot of games here, what I've seen a lot of people saying now is because of the extended playoffs, we actually kind of know who's going to make the playoffs now and who's not. And the 7th seed doesn't really matter because they get whacked every year. Are you still excited to the end of the season for what the playoff picture looks like? Because for me, I still think the 7 seeds looks kind of strong.
Yeah, and we're still going to have jockeying for position, which is going to matter. You're going to have fights for the conference championships or division championships, which at some point are going to be the only thing that matter anymore because everybody else is locked in, right?
Yeah.
I also think they're always like, oh, the 7th seed can't win the Super Bowl. They used to say that wild card teams couldn't win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, definitely. And I think if you look at who kind of like the 7 seeds are, like Denver has a defense that could do something. Like Denver has a defense that could cause some real problems in the AFC. They played the Chiefs close. Obviously, the Chiefs got a blocked field goal to win that game. So, that's where we're at with that. I also think it's really important for teams to get that first round bye. That first round bye is so important because it obviously used to be the top 2 seeds would get a bye. Now that first round bye is so important. And also, Jay, if you look at a team like the Lions and you look at the Vikings, they'll still be playing to the end to go from the Lions could be either the 1st seed or the 5th seed. And it could be the same with the Vikings. Like it could be the 5th seed at the moment, but they could be the 1st seed by the end of the season. And that's incredibly important going in. And Jay, we've got some big news this week outside of the world of the NFL, but it is important to the NFL. Bill Belichick, Chapel Bill, has gone to UNC. What do you make of that move? First of all, how do you think what do you think it means for Bill Belichick, and what do you think it means for certain NFL connotations there?
What I read right before the show is in his negotiations right now, he's negotiating that his son gets named heir apparent coach in waiting. I'm never mad. I know people hate nepotism, but if it's my kid, I'm dragging you with me. It's the only reason Jaden Smith's ever been in a movie. Okay, because he sucks balls at acting. But I'm not mad at it. Like, I'm not mad. Your dad's Will, your mom's Jada Pickett, I Ruined Men's Life Smith. But anyway, so Bill Belichick went on Pat McAfee and was explaining how he would run a college program, like a feeder system to the NFL, but he also wants to make sure the kids who aren't going to the NFL are prepared for life. But he really wants to prepare kids for the NFL. There's going to be a salary cap. You got to bring in a GM. There's going to be NIL money. It's really going to be an NFL-run program. And I think for all of us, that's exciting to watch. If this happens, I think and it's kind of crazy because he's only 15 wins away from the all-time wins record in the NFL. So I don't know if there's like some back channel shit like, hey, no NFL team wants you, Bill. Go do something else.
Yeah.
Or if Bill's just like, I want to coach, I can go coach at North Carolina. My dad coached at North Carolina. So I don't know but I think it's exciting.
Yeah, so on that, Andy Reid is also only 30 wins away from the all-time coaching record. So it's almost like Bill could get it in 2 seasons with the teams that he's being offered. It might take Bill 2 seasons, 3 seasons to maybe get 15 wins, and it'll take Andy Reid about the same amount of time. But Andy Reid could keep coaching for longer and with a much better team. So it's like, oh, great, Bill will get it, and then Andy Reid will just overtake him straight away. So what's the point if you're in that position? I think it's great for UNC. I think it's good for the college football players. A lot of people have come out hating on this move. I don't think it's Nick Saban. I don't think it's going to be Nick Saban reincarnate, mainly because how many years is he going to do this? Bill Belichick is 72 years old. How many years is he going to be doing this? It's obviously a really shitty division as well that he's going to, and coaching like not a lot of big rating games coming out of that division. What I do think it's really great for UNC though is they could basically create a farming factory for certain NFL positions there. So if you're a young DB and you want to learn the trade from one of the NFL's greatest defensive coaches, you go to UNC. Like, nobody has mentioned the recruiting power that Bill Belichick's name is going to have. And that'll be really important going forward. And it'll be great for NFL teams to have a guy there that they know produces the best. The only issue is Bill Belichick, his personnel evaluation just got worse and worse and worse during his time in the NFL.
I just looked it up. It's a 5-year, $50 million deal, but only the first 3 years are guaranteed. And if he wants to go to the NFL before June 1st, there's a $10 million buyout by the NFL team. Anytime after June 1st, it's only $1 million. So it leaves the door wide open for him to take the job, get his son named as head coach, leave, go to the NFL. His son's now the head coach of North Carolina.
Yeah, definitely. My question is, Jay, does this potentially enhance his legacy? Is his legacy already set? Or does this ruin his legacy moving down to college? Like, if this doesn't go well, how does this affect his legacy as a coach?
No, it's like I said about Aaron Rodgers. We're so far into a career, you really can't ruin your legacy at this point, right? Because Bill Belichick, 6 rings as a head coach, 2 as a defensive coordinator. You can't ever take that away from him. Second most winning coach in the NFL history. First ballot Hall of Famer 5 years after he's done coaching, right? So I don't think anything he does is going to hurt his legacy. I think maybe if he goes and puts a competitive team out there in the first 2 years, it can enhance his legacy, but I don't think it can hurt it. And I think he's intrigued because go watch that Pat McAfee if you get a chance where he explains it. He's very excited when he's talking about how that he can run it like an NFL franchise.
Yeah, I think there's also the opportunity for if he creates some of the best young defensive players at UNC to go into the league, like that's going to enhance his legacy as well. The only blemish that Bill Belichick really has on his legacy is Tom Brady going to Tampa and winning a Super Bowl straight away. And Bill Belichick has a 44% win percentage without Tom Brady. Now, he had Tom Brady most of his career, and most people without a good the quarterbacks he had in that time was like Drew Bledsoe, Mac Jones, who's
right. And then the argument is he found Brady, he developed him, and then so Andy Reid without McNabb and Mahomes don't have all them wins either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I mean, Andy Reid has done it. Andy Reid has done it at several organizations, hasn't he? Andy Reid's win over Bill Belichick. So Bill Belichick has the Super Bowl rings. Andy Reid's win is Andy Reid might get somewhere closer to those Super Bowl rings and has done it at multiple organizations being successful, right? That's where Andy Reid is.
But he didn't win any Super Bowls with the Eagles.
Yeah, exactly. And, so he has.
And Bill's got 2 Super Bowls from being the Giants DC.
Yeah, I also think there's a claim of like eras here. So like the era that Bill Belichick coached in was perfect for Bill Belichick and was shit for Andy Reid. And now it's really good for Andy Reid and not so good for Bill Belichick because of the rule changes. So like why let's
Belichick
not
went
compare too much.
Belichick went through fucking 50 years of NFL, though. You know what I mean? So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like when people look at quarterbacks from the 1980s, look at their stat lines and say they're terrible. It's like, no, that's not what's happened. It's just a totally different style of game. Like, we spray the ball around and pass the ball much more.
Bill Belichick has the highest scoring offense in NFL history.
He's a crazy coach. I never understand why people argue against his legacy. Now, I understand why people argue against him coaching in the NFL in today's world and that kind of stuff. Like, it's different. I would personally like to have him around the organization, maybe not the head coach and those kind of things. And I think he'll do a great job at college. I think it is a shame for certain organizations. Like, certain organizations now have to compete with that job to go and get him. So I think there's certain organizations that would like to change their culture, and Bill Belichick would have been perfect for them. That's not going to be great for them either moving forward. But yeah, I don't get the hate around this move personally.
Also, with those buyout numbers, he could easily leave to go to the NFL anytime he wants.
Yeah, definitely. Like, it's definitely not a closed door to the NFL, which is what some people are saying. It's just read, like, just read some contracts and stuff, and then you'll see that it's not a closed door. All right. So, Jay, moving on to our reactions to week 14 in the NFL. I thought I'd start with the Dallas Cowboys. Did you watch any of the Simpsons coverage of the game? Did you watch Lisa getting the game-winning touchdown? No. Not for you. I flicked in and out of it. I love the Simpsons growing up, so I used to. So I had a little watch. The play that I didn't watch, though, Jay, was probably the most comical play of the game and would have been funny and was a definite play that Homer Simpson would have made. It was who was at fault for that Cowboys blocked punt that basically cost the Cowboys the game.
Who's the fucking idiot who touched it?
I don't know his name. He just come up off the practice squad. But I don't know his name, but it's fine to blame him.
That's the fault right there, because it ends up being like a 25-yard punt if that idiot doesn't touch it.
Yeah, definitely. So for those of you who are still questioning what happened there and haven't gone and done your own research by now, if it's touched, if it's blocked, then it doesn't count as touch. It just counts as a normal punt. If you then touch it, it then becomes a live ball again, goes back to first down. Like,
same rules apply on a block that goes past the line of scrimmage that apply on a regular punt.
Yeah, exactly. So just be aware of that. And that's what happened in that game. I've seen a few people, because of what happened with the onside kick a couple of weeks ago, they've been blaming the special teams coach, Bones Fossil. They've been blaming him for the call because of what happened with the coach, saying, oh, he doesn't have his team disciplined. Nobody in this Cowboys organization is disciplined this year. It's just a fucking free-for-all. Go score your fucking touchdowns and shit like that, like on special teams, whatever. My personal vendetta here is against the rule. I'm not saying that the Cowboys didn't deserve to lose because of that, because that is the rule. Like, you get what I mean? So, like, it is the rule. I gotta
hear what the problem with the rule is.
So my problem with the rule is the Cowboys have blocked a punt, and it's still the issue I have with it is it becomes a first down once it's then been touched by the receiver. The Bengals still are 10 yards short of the first down marker on that play. So it feels to me like a fumble. So then if it's on fourth down, the Bengals are still 10 yards short of the first down, which all semantics. Yeah, all semantics and all bullshit. I feel like the Cowboys are slightly being blamed for trying to block the punt there by the referees. I don't blame them for going for the block, which is what this comment says here. I don't blame them for going for the block. I think it's one of the only ways that the Cowboys can score points is on special teams. Like, what special teams is our highest scoring player this year. So I'm always going to go for the block if I'm the Dallas Cowboys, especially in this season.
I do see your argument now, though, because it didn't go past what was needed for a first down.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not me being all butthurt about the loss, because the rule is the rule. No, the fucking rule.
But the rule is set up that the touch is considered a fumble.
Yeah. So the rule is set up that the touch is considered a fumble.
I see your argument.
Still needs to go past the fourth down. Like if a player but if you intercept a pass and then you fumble, it still becomes a first down, right? To your team. Yeah, see, that's all feels strange. But
once there's a change of possession.
Yeah, exactly.
So the fumble is the change of possession.
Yeah, it's like I get the rule. I feel like that particular instance felt wrong. Like the Bengals got nowhere near it there, but the rule is the rule, and we play with the rules, and the Cowboys didn't deserve to win that game. Although, Jay, I do feel like the Cowboys were impressive on the defensive side of the ball. Have the Cowboys impressed you since Micah has come back on the defensive side of the ball?
No, because I think they should be better than what they are. Bland helps being back, though. That helps extreme. But I'm still disappointed in what that Cowboys defense looks like. Like, this isn't what we should have had. So I think that's the problem. And they let Jamar Chase go the fuck off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just to put it into context, just with that, though, the Bengals have been held to 20 points there, 27 points after the block point, 27 points. They put massive amounts of points on the Steelers, massive amount of points on the Ravens, massive amounts of points on the Commanders. Like Joe Burrow has the second most passing yards in the NFL this year.
Yeah, but that's like, okay, so your defense should be an A. It's been an F. So now because you're at a fucking C-, you want some credit. Yeah. Like that's my great problem. Point. That's my problem.
That is the exact point with the Dallas Cowboys here. That is the exact point. Dallas Cowboys fans, we have got so used to them being terrible all year, and we've given them a free pass, basically. The Cowboys have been given a free pass because of all of the injuries on the defensive side of the ball. That let's not get this fucking wrong. Let's not get this wrong. This defense is worse with Mike Zimmer in it than it should be. Like, Mike Zimmer is the reason that this defense is terrible. The players that we have are the same as last year. Like, the offensive side of the ball lost players last year. We lost Gilmore, and then we lost Gilmore and we lost Van Der Esch, and I think Van Der Esch was a big loss. But Overshown has come in and now is gone for the end of this season and all of next season as well. It looks like Overshown is out for, which is a shame because he's been the bright light for me all season. Guys, this Dallas Cowboys defense is better than this, and it's the defensive coordinator's problem.
And I am so glad Jerry Jones is the last owner who will ever hire a coach who is suing the NFL.
Yeah. Brian Flores isn't going to be in Dallas.
Yeah, no. I love that. I'm hoping all of them, sorry, Brian, collude. And they, in their collusion, they're like, nah, he's suing us. Don't fuck with him.
Yeah, exactly. And if, like, no disrespect to the Vikings defense has been amazing. If you give Brian Flores the playmakers that is on the Dallas side of the ball, which is like the stars, the Vikings defensive roster is better overall in terms of depth and like actually having.
Okay, but our top corner is 137, so I get
exactly. So the Dallas Cowboys have star power. It's not big on depth, it's star power, and if you give that to a Brian Flores, that's going to look ridiculous. And for some reason, with Mike Zimmer, look, I think my biggest problem with Mike Zimmer is the defense doesn't look like it knows what it's doing. Like every game, like for the Dallas Cowboys defense isn't smart enough to run what Mike Zimmer wants to run.
Does it bother you that Micah Parsons refuses to listen to Zimmer?
No, I think Micah Parsons, I think Zimmer should just let Micah Parsons play ball. I get it.
I want him to move around and get off the right and get off the left side of the defense and move around, and he won't. And I think I think it says something about the player if you refuse to listen to the coach, and that's a problem.
Yeah, I have problems with Micah Parsons' attitude, like just in general, but I don't think it was a problem in that particular game. Like you saw how much it meant to him at the end of the game, crying, frustrated at the special teams play. And to be honest, I think he was just tired. Like he basically ran himself into the ground that entire game. And you could see on that final possession, they'd lost all feeling for the game. On that final possession, it looked like they were just like, just score your touchdown and let's go. Like, let's go. We've given up now. We tried everything and we've given up. And I think overshown, knocked the wind out of the sails a little bit. I don't want Micah Parsons to be the leader of my defense. I want Micah Parsons to be the guy who goes and gets me a sack when I need it. I don't think if my defense is being run through Micah Parsons, I think there's a problem there. So I would rather have it run for a guy like Eric Kendricks, and then Micah just stays in his lane, goes, makes the play. And I get it. I think it's a lack of respect for the coach. I get what you're saying. I don't know what this coach has done this year to deserve the respect.
Just being your coach, though. Just being your coach should be enough.
Yeah, I don't know. I disagree because he did respect Dan Quinn. Like he did whatever Dan Quinn said that. And I think they've given up on. I think they respected Mike Zimmer to start with. They saw it didn't work.
I don't think it's a Zimmer problem. I don't think with Micah it's a Zimmer problem. I think it's a Cowboys problem.
Yeah, just a Cowboys problem in general.
Look at all the shit he says.
Yeah, the shit that he says on the podcast. Now I do have more of a problem with that than him treating Mike Zimmer. That's why I have.
I just think it shows an overall lack of character. Like, and that's kind of scary when he's probably your best player.
Yeah. The other problem with the Dallas Cowboys, Jay, because I think the defense would look a lot better if they weren't on the field all the fucking time. The Bengals have only held a team to 20 points or less 4 other times this season, and I think it's against the Giants, the Panthers, the Saints, and us. So, like, it's not exactly a death row situation of offenses there that they've gone through. So, Rico Dowdle has got his second 100-yard game in a row, so at least it looks like he can run, which is great. But the offense is the big problem in Dallas, and I'm not really sure how you fix it.
I think you guys are going to win just enough games to not be in the top 10.
Yeah, that'd be very classic. I'm all good with that. Jay, looking at both of these teams here, that both of these teams aren't filling their potential, the Cowboys or the Bengals here. Are they the biggest contenders for worst to first next year?
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know where you were going with that, and I was like, where the fuck is he go? Okay. Yeah, okay. I could see that.
Yeah, I think going into next year, right, like the Cowboys, I don't think it would take
one more team in there. The Bears.
Yeah. The Bears were my other one.
I don't know about first, but they're going to be a lot better, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, the 49ers are another classic case there.
They still can win their division.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that, but I need them to win tonight. If they win tonight, the Vikings lock a playoffs berth. So I need the 49ers to win tonight.
Yeah, I think the 49ers can still win their division. Their division is just incredibly close. Bad. Yeah, because there's also like Arizona could be the contender for worst to first for next year as well, but they can also still win their division. But we spoke 2 weeks ago. We spoke about this Arizona Seahawks game.
We got to wait to see who's the worst. But whoever's the worst in the West will be first next year.
Yeah, I think the other ones are like, and the other
Seattle's got a brutal schedule.
Yeah, Seattle's got a lot going down. They're playing their best football right now, but they've also got a brutal. Mike McDonald has got that defense absolutely firing though, which I like to see.
I know they play the Packers and the Vikings for sure. They might even play the Lions still. I don't remember, but
yeah, they got.
No, they play the Packers, the Vikings, and the Rams, I think.
That's a horrible run in for the Seahawks there. Jay, the Rams and the Bills game, that was the game of the week, right? If you like offensive football, that was the game of the week. 44-42 in favor of the Rams. Jay, what just happened? What happened in that game? That thing just went totally crazy.
They decided before the game that defense was optional.
They played that game like an NBA All-Star game.
Yeah.
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 With that
Josh
game,
Allen went off.
Yeah, with that game, I just thought the amount of space for receivers was unbelievable. Like in that game, like the quarterbacks both played amazing games. Josh Allen played an amazing game in a losing cause. Matt Stafford, I thought, looked unbelievable in that game as well. But I don't think they made that many tight, unbelievable throws. They just hit whoever was open.
Yeah, it just felt like one of those games like, oh, whoever's got the ball last is going to win this one.
Yeah, definitely. Jay, it isn't the first time the Bills have lost games like this, though, where Josh Allen puts his cape on, tries to carry them, and still gets the loss. Are the Bills AFC Championship contenders for you still after watching that game?
I mean, yes, because I think it's a 3-team race, but I still think they're the bottom of the 3 teams. I think it's the Chiefs, Ravens, them.
Yeah, I agree with you as well. My issue with the
and if they have to play both of them, oh fuck.
My issue with the Bills is that they have the quarterback who can play the most superhero football on every single down. Like Patrick Mahomes sometimes does some magical shit, but he doesn't have to do it on every single down. Whereas Josh Allen is asked to do that almost every play. And that's where I struggle with them, because their defense has been playing decent enough football as long as your quarterback is playing superhero ball on the other side.
Do you realize that's the exact same thing Lamar's had to do up until this year? And people crush him for it, but they praise Josh Allen for it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think with Lamar and with quarterbacks like Lamar and like Josh Allen, that's the style of quarterback that they are as well. That's you can't ask them to take that cape off. Like you can't say Derrick Henry. Yeah. You can't say to them, take the cape off, right? With Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. But you can give them the best sidekicks in the fucking NFL.
You can be like, hey, this motherfucker got a cape too. Give it to King Henry. He got a cape too. Like, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Zay Flowers growing a little cape right now. Just a little one, but Zay Flowers growing one.
Yeah, and the Bills don't have that. No, that's not true. The Bills have that. They don't use it. James Cook is an excellent running back weapon. And for some reason, they just decide not to use it.
Shakir at wide receiver is playing his fucking ass off too.
Yeah, Shakir is really good as well. What's really impressive about Shakir is he doesn't drop anything. Like he just doesn't drop anything and runs really nice routes and doesn't drop anything. So my problem with the Bills is they asked Josh Allen to wear that cape on every single down, and they still haven't got him the help to go with that. So for me, still AFC Championship contenders. With games like that, Jay, is Matthew Stafford like stamped his ticket, Hall of Famer, first ballot?
I think the second he raised that Lombardi, he locked that first ballot Hall of Famer in because he had all the numbers.
Yeah, exactly. He had all the numbers on a kind of poverty organization like Detroit. Like, no offense, you haven't ever won a Super Bowl.
Offense. I hope you all take offense to it and fuck you.
You're one of the worst teams in the NFL.
Well, no, that's some NFL. That's some NFC North hate I was just throwing out. That's all. That was
all. But yeah, I think all of those numbers there. But when you see him then move to the Rams and play as he's playing into this age as well, it's like, hang on, is Matthew Stafford one of the better? Because there's now some quarterbacks in the Hall of Fame that wouldn't necessarily be in the conversation of best quarterbacks of all time, and I feel like Matthew Stafford is moving towards the like best quarterbacks of all time conversation.
So, Deion Sanders once said there needs to be 2 rooms in the Hall of Fame. All the Hall of Famers and then the elite guys who changed things. Like, so Stafford's in the Hall of Fame creeping on that other room.
Yeah. Yeah, and actually thinking about the way that he changed things, thinking about him in Detroit actually with Calvin Johnson, they were one of the spray the ball around offenses like kind of early on. Like obviously there's other aspects of that in the past, but they would like consistently spray the ball around defense offense for a long period of time.
As bad as Matt Millen was as a GM, and he might be one of the worst I've ever watched, and they still put up those numbers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. They
and Stafford got his ass kicked for 10 years.
Yeah, yes, that's the other most impressive thing in this is Stafford's arm still works. Like if you think of Ben Roethlisberger at this point, like you would almost have like Matthew Stafford and Ben Roethlisberger a similar style of quarterbacks, right? Matthew Stafford is still putting up those numbers, and Big Ben like looked like his arm would fall off at any point whenever he tried to throw a ball. So I agree with you. I think Matthew Stafford is moving into that elite category of the Hall of Famers if he gets one more NFC Championship game with the Rams team and plays well through that, then I think we're starting to get into that conversation. And Jay, everybody loves Puka Nacua, right? Nobody dislikes Puka Nacua, but I don't think people have him in like the top wide receivers in the NFL. But Jay, how high do you go with Puka Nacua in the best wide receivers in the NFL conversation?
Somewhere around 10.
Yeah, without making a list, right? Like without us sitting down and making a list.
Five guys popped in my head, and then I was like, okay, I can start nitpicking.
Who are the five guys?
Well, it's Jefferson, Chase. I think Jordan Addison is up there, and I think people might think I'm crazy with that. I think Debo's one of the top 5 in the NFL, and CeeDee Lamb in no particular order. Like, I think these are the 5 guys that come to my head right away.
Yeah, then you have guys like George Pickens in there as well, who's just a bit of a freak. And
I'd rather have Puka.
Yeah, I think I would rather have Puka's all-round game for that. But it looks like they've cloned with the way that they asked Puka to play. It looks like they've cloned Cooper Kupp and just made him a massive Polynesian guy. Yeah, like they've just like
I just no shot at Cooper Kupp, but like Puka might be better.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think Puka is dealing with that 5th round, nobody knows who the hell he is bias. The same as Brock Purdy deals with that bias for being the
you brought it up before, and you said the Rams have a different way of evaluating receivers. KOC, coming from the Rams, said this in an interview this week. He said, we evaluate receivers differently here. He goes, speed's important, route running's important. He's like, all of that's important. He goes, number one, if you can't track the ball, we can't draft you. And I think that's something that he got from the Rams. So there's something about, and he goes, you watch Jordan Addison. He goes, the only guy in the NFL who may track the ball better is Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
okay,
Jordan Addison. But it hit me, what you said hit me in that moment when he said that, and I'm like, there it is. That's what they're doing differently.
Exactly. And Jordan Addison has those weird. The reason why Jordan Addison is a difficult fantasy play, and I would have won like 2 fantasy weeks in a row if I played Jordan Addison. The reason he's a really difficult fantasy play is he has those really quiet games because there's no down the field balls for him. But as soon as a defense offers the Vikings down the field production, like Jordan Addison is going off. Like his down the field game is unbelievable.
And he's on a team with weapons, with Hawkinson, with Jefferson, with Aaron Jones. It hurts, but look. He was a number 1 for 9 games last year and balled the fuck out with quarterbacks that shouldn't even have been playing in the NFL.
Yeah, and you can see kind of the same level from Puka there as well.
Yes.
So
I was just going to say, Cooper gets hurt, Puka steps up.
Yeah, and it's the way that Puka Nacua, some of the catches he makes, you can tell that that's him just being naturally gifted at tracking the ball. Like it's where the ball is, and just the fact that his hands end up there, that is not a natural catch for people. And I think natural catchers who also have if your 40 is a 4.5 40, but your you can make unnatural catches, so you don't need that extra bit of separation. I would rather have you on my team. And that's why I think the Rams do. And it's why the Rams fuck them picks work so well, because nobody spoke about in the fuck them picks era that they were going through. Nobody spoke about the 3rd round, the 4th round, the 5th round picks that they were nailing every single time. And that's where you build great teams. So I think the Rams have built a great roster here. The offensive line could still do with a bit of work. And I think the Rams are my favorite in the NFC West still to go through.
I need them to lose tonight.
You need them to lose tonight. Jay, Vikings versus the Falcons. Another great game by the Vikings. And you guys went off in this game.
That's it. That's what we needed to see. We needed to see that whole team effort at one time. That's the ass. And Sam Darnold, that smirk on your face the whole game, we all know that was a smirk going, fuck you, Kirk. Fuck you, Kirk. Look what I'm doing with a team that you just had. Fuck you, Kirk. That was, that Darnold wanted to win that game as bad as Kirk wanted to win that game, right? Because Kirk wants to come back and win that game against the Vikings. Sam Darnold and that Vikings team was like, we are not letting Kirk win here. And Sam Darnold's like, if I lose to Kirk, that's all they're going to talk about is shouldn't have got rid of Kirk, should have kept him, all that. Sam Darnold balled the fuck out, 5 touchdowns. Go Sam.
Yeah, and it's weird how Sam and Kirk kind of switched roles a little bit, in this game. Sam Darnold threw for 5 touchdowns, but Kirk Cousins actually threw for only 3 yards less than Sam Darnold.
2 interceptions, and the third one that was an interception that they called a catch. So I'm still not sure.
Yeah, that was
that. Okay, but whatever.
That was like when you're playing rugby and you're beating a team 50 points to 0 at halftime, and the ref starts to let them have every single call that goes down. That's what that looked like to me.
But fucking Griffin's literally got 2 hands on it. The receiver's got 1 hand touching it, and they go to the ground. Griffin's got it balled up in his chest, and they're like, that's a catch. Then it goes to replay, and I'm like, oh, we're getting this ball. And they're like, that's a catch. And I'm like, the fuck world do we live in right now? And it was a close game, so I was irate. Now I can laugh about it.
Yeah, but that was the game. That right there, that was the game for the Vikings, where it was, okay, yeah, you got it. Your offense clicked against not by any means one of the best defensive teams in the NFL, but by no means one of the worst teams in the NFL either. In terms of the offense,
and they made them look bad.
Yeah, they made them look like they had no idea where anyone was. And then the defense continues to click. The defense continues to play excellent football. The Vikings, if the Vikings go to the NFC Championship game, it will be on defense. But it is good to know that the offense is this good as well when it has to be.
This is when you want your team to start clicking too. And I don't think this is an aberration. I think this is work paying off, all the work they put in, Sam understanding this offense now, and taking control of it. And we're, rookies at this point in the season are no longer rookies. I mean, technically you are, but you know what I'm saying. I think this is exciting for Vikings fans.
Yeah. And I think it's just I think the biggest thing about that was Sam Darnold went through a weird period where he threw a lot of picks in the red zone, a lot of badly timed picks. He then seemed to go through a period where he was so scared of throwing the picks, he didn't throw the ball down the field and lost his confidence in that. And in this game, you could see he got his confidence back and threw the ball down the field, but played it safe in the times where he had to play safe as well.
Last 3 games, 12 touchdowns, 0 interceptions.
Exactly. So I think he's really started to. And then this was the one, though, where he'd unleashed. So the past couple of games was okay, I'm just going to make sure I get the picks under control. Don't throw any interceptions.
It wasn't, but didn't every pass feel like it was 50 yards too? It felt like Sam was just slinging it.
Yeah, I've always been the person on this show to say Sam Darnold has one of the more talented arms in the NFL. I think he does look ridiculous. Like his decision making is sometimes horrendous, and other
Yeah, no, I
physical
don't think
actions
anybody's
as well.
argued his arm
Yeah.
talent or his talent. I think it was decision making
Yeah,
and bad organizations. We've always said that too, though. As bad as I've been on Sam, I've always admitted he was with some shit organizations.
yeah, definitely. I think he, I think he's thriving in his second chance. Here, Jay, is it for the Falcons, from what you watched in that game with them playing against the Vikings, is it time to drop Kirk Cousins?
Kirk Cousins will be the starting quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers next year.
Nice. Love that. That's a fun call. If he takes a massive pay cut.
Well, they hit him with the big bonus. If they traded for him, the next team has to pay 25.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
So
that makes
I'll pay 25 a year for a couple of years for Kirk. I'll trade away Brock Purdy and I'll rebuild that team. That's just me.
Yeah. I think the 49ers really want to find a dual threat. Like they want their dual threat QB, right? Like that's what they want. Like that's what they want. That's what they traded up for Trey Lance for, that dual threat QB.
Random fact, Sam K wants to move to Wisconsin because it's like the only state you don't need a permit to own a kangaroo.
Right. Do you know Australians think that they're pests? Like Australians don't like kangaroos that much. They're like, it's like how Kenyans like don't like elephants, like stuff like that as well. Yeah, I don't think it's time for the Falcons to drop Kirk Cousins. I think, but mainly because of just leave Michael Penix
at the end of the year.
Yeah,
I think you move on from him at the end of the year.
Yeah, definitely. I think he move on it from him at the end of the year. You may as well ride it out. It's not like the Falcons have been horrendous. Jay, who's to blame for the Falcons' disappointing season?
Raheem Morris.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a great coach. I know other coaches love this dude. They love him. I don't think he's a great coach. I think he's a good coach. I don't think he's a great coach.
I wonder if he's a great coach to have in your organization, but not the head of your organization. I wonder if that's why other coaches love him, because he's brilliant when he's in their organization, right?
I question when a guy came up as a secondary coach and your secondary let these guys run fucking wild.
Yeah, and do you know what? The Falcons' big names on defense as well is all in the secondary. To be fair to the secondary for the Falcons, they may have one of the worst pass rushes in the NFL, which is why the Michael Penix pick was stupid if you were going for it this year. If you've already picked Kirk, the Michael Penix pick was dumb because your pass rush is possibly one of the worst in the NFL.
Doing both was what was dumb. Signing Kirk and drafting Penix. One or the other was fine.
Yeah. And it's only fine. It's only dumb if you've decided you weren't going for it this year. Like if you weren't going for it this year, then fine. Build your organization. But then why sign Kirk? So you were going for it. That was the point. So then why, when you have Dallas Turner on the board, Latu on the board, like you had Verse on the board, like these guys who we've seen are good pass rushers at the NFL, like
Byron Murphy.
Like Byron Murphy, like they had those players right there to take. They had their choice of defensive players and they chose Michael Penix when they've already signed Kirk. That felt strange to me because their pass rush is so bad that their secondary, who has big names on it, Jesse Bates is an excellent DB, right? You can't cover for 4 or 5 seconds. Like you can't cover in the NFL nowadays for 4 to 5 seconds. Like if you're not getting to them, and that's what frustrated me about the Falcons. So I think that draft pick was the beginning of the end for the Falcons this season. Now, Michael Penix might be great and it might help them next season, but I think it was the beginning of the end this season. I also think a lot of the disappointment was the hype for the Falcons this season. Like I've now started to come onto your wavelength about their weapons. They kind of remind me of the Broncos. Do you remember when Wilson signed for the Broncos and we all said, oh my God, all of these weapons, and none of those weapons have ever showed anything in the NFL?
Yeah, like Kyle Pitts is a bust because of where he's been drafted, because he's a decent, good tight end, drafted super high.
Yeah.
Bijan Robinson drafted super high. Gibbs is already looking better than Bijan Robinson. And then again, why do you draft a running back to a shit team and that kind of thing? And Drake London can catch anything thrown his way. He just doesn't have any separation.
Yeah, Drake, they're all all of those weapons I think would work in other teams. Like I think like Kyle Pitts as a 49er would be a cheat code. Like if you look at like Kyle Pitts doing the George Kittle like stuff as
you
a
could
49er
swap out
would be
Bijan Robinson for Aaron Jones and it would work.
Yeah, and it would like and to be fair to Bijan Robinson, he has been top 5 rushing in the NFL in his past, like in his.
He just doesn't have breakaway. He doesn't have that second gear.
Yeah, whereas Jameer Gibbs is your home hitter, right? With a much better offensive line, and David Montgomery does the dirty work. Bijan Robinson has to do both. But they have Tyler Algier as well, like the Falcons. And Drake London, I think, if you put Drake London in a situation where he has if you put anybody in the Minnesota wide receiver room, then it would just be crazy. But if you put Drake London in a place where they have over the top threat, then that would work really well as well, because he then gets that separation. But if he's your number one, then that's a problem too. So I think roster construction here is their problem in Atlanta. And it's not necessarily bad moves. It's just not. They just don't gel together.
They don't fit well together.
So Michael Penix was a good move if you didn't get Kirk Cousins. Drake London is a good wide receiver if you don't have Kyle Pitts.
Well, and let's be fair, like Drake London would have been a better fit if they didn't suspend and then get rid of Calvin Ridley. And,
that's fair. Yeah, George Pickens was that same draft as well, though, wasn't he? As Drake London.
Yeah.
Like George Pickens in Atlanta right now with Kyle Pitts doing the big over the body stuff would be a lot better. I think their roster construction was really weird. We've kind of spoken about the other stuff, and I'm going to talk about one of those questions in GMJ today. So we'll move on to the Chiefs Chargers. Jay, my question is, and I was going to have the theme tune, but I'll just, what's love got to do with it? But it's what's luck got to do with it? Like the Chiefs.
You mean the new GM of Stanford, Andrew Luck? No, not that Luck.
Are the Kansas City Chiefs lucky, Jay, or are they just good? Like, are they they win this every time, or are they lucky?
I think sometimes you create good luck, and I think that's what they do by doing everything right.
Yeah, exactly.
And yes, to win Super Bowls, the ball has to bounce your way, and luck has to happen. And yes, some of the things that happened were lucky, but they put themselves in great positions to be lucky.
Yeah, and I think what's important to mention here is it's not lucky if you do it 15, 16 times in a row. Like, it stops being lucky at that point. Like, the doink. What was the quote that he said? The doink to win the division. That's what it was, wasn't it? Was what the commentator said when it went in. The doink for the division. And I was like, oh, God, that's all the shouty shows are going to be talking about now for the next week about the Chiefs, is the fact that it bounced in for them to win the game. They outplayed the Chargers in that game. And
if Harrison Buckner's not injured, this isn't even a question. So who cares?
Yes. They outplayed the Chargers in that game. And the Chargers, my sweetheart team. But let's remember, the Chargers were without their... The Chargers played a really good game, and they played them close. They were without their running back one. They were without their wide receiver one as well. So, like, fair play to them. The Chiefs have been without wide receiver one all year. Running back one has just come back. Like, wide receiver... their wide receivers...
Xavier Wide receiver 2 has been out too with Hollywood Brown.
Yeah, exactly. Hollywood. I was trying to remember the name of Hollywood Brown. But yeah, so wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, running back 1 have all been out all year. Like, let's just remember that when we're talking about the Chiefs here, because I don't think they're lucky. I think they shouldn't play as many close games as they do, but I don't think they're lucky when they win them.
No, and there's something too about winning those close games that builds team character. Like teams like, and I'm not even be funny because I'm a Vikings fan, but teams like the Vikings and the Chiefs very comfortable in a close battle game to win it. There's something that's something to be said for that when you're in the playoffs.
Yeah, or like Detroit and Philly don't look as comfortable in those. Like they're used to just controlling the game. They don't look as comfortable. They make decisions that look questionable at the time, especially Detroit.
You mean like going for it on 4th down on your own 29?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly. To be fair to Dan Campbell in that game, he went for it 4 times, made 3. One of them was 2 were for touchdowns. One of them was to ice the game, but then the other one was on your own 29.
But that's the call that's going to cost you in the playoffs.
Exactly. So strange. So I don't think that's lucky. I think the Chiefs outplayed the Chargers in this game. I think the Chargers started to show up in the second half. They started to get a few things going, but in a 19-17 game, I called it defense run game. That sort of game was what it was always going to be. And I think we are back to it's always been a case of if you have a run game and a defense, you have a chance of playing teams close and playing them hard. But I do think we're starting to move back to a run game and a defense-orientated league, Jay.
You still better have some receivers because these teams start putting points on you. You better be able to come back.
Yeah, you saw that with the Steelers this week with George Pickens missing, which is why I imagine the Steelers are plus 5.5 against the Eagles because George Pickens still looks out. Their team looked totally different without the slow Najee Harris. Looked a lot slower when George Pickens wasn't on the field as well. Jay, who is the AFC West favorite for next year? So we have the Chiefs playing close games the entire time. We have the Chargers who've vastly improved, and we have the Broncos who vastly improved as well. And the Raiders are the favorite now.
Until you dethrone them, it's the Chiefs.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think for everything that we just said, right? Wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, and running back 1 have been injured all year. And they still won more games than the year they won the Super Bowl.
Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Steve Spagnuolo.
Yeah, you're not doing better than that. Although Justin Herbert, Jim Harbaugh, like they have.
Yeah, but you're only in year 2. It's not a shot at them, but you're only in year 2.
Exactly.
And these guys have been doing it for 7-8 years now.
Yeah, that AFC West looks like it's going to be the division for a long time. And it's almost turning in. I've always thought of the AFC West as a bit more of a showy division, like a bit more Hollywood kind of show as a division, right? But it looks like more of a black and blue AFC North, NFC North style of football at the moment, if you look past the uniforms. Yeah. All right, Jay, your favorite segment in our week is coming up now, Jay. It is our week 14 overreactions. Everybody, this is where me and Jay decide kind of what are the most crazy takes for the week. We do believe them, but we understand they're a bit out there. Jay, what is overreaction number 1?
It is Saquon Barkley is a top 10 running back in NFL history.
I could definitely go for that. I think that's we keep on saying these things like top 10, this guy's top 10. Let's make all of these lists in the off season. Let's just do loads of shows where we just, anybody in the comments, message us, whatever, and we'll just do lists of anybody that you want in the off season. But I like that. That would make sense to me. Jay, my overreaction number 1 here would be the worst thing for the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry Jones is going to keep Mike McCarthy and Mike Zimmer.
Damn.
I don't think he should. I think he will. I think he's seen enough to say, oh yeah, this works,
All right. I think you're wrong. So, okay. But wow, that's
good. I hope I'm wrong.
All right. My number 2 overreaction is the Raiders have to be tanking for the number 1 pick to look that bad.
It looked like both of the teams that were playing to look that bad. Like that's what it looked like. But I just think the Saints are just not that good. I still think Rizzy might keep his job. Like, is that crazy? Like,
I think you just don't want people to get fired. I think you like people being gainfully employed.
I think he's won 3 games, and it's a not well-run organization. But yeah, then the Raiders have to be tanking, right? Antonio Gibson's he's not going to be there next year. That would be pretty impressive. He was the wrong hire from the start.
Well, AP as the interim wasn't bad, but then you gave
Yeah.
him the job. But now you are dealing with the only owner who's not a billionaire. So does he keep the job because he doesn't want to pay 2 people?
Yeah. The same problem with Zach Taylor on the Bengals, right? Jay, my overreaction too is Matthew Stafford has had a better NFL career than Aaron Rodgers. The way that it is gone with their second teams, so Rodgers in a better situation in Green Bay than Matthew Stafford was in Detroit. Matthew Stafford still putting up numbers. The way it has gone with their second teams, to me, suggest Matthew Stafford wins a Super Bowl with his second team, has as many Super Bowls as Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers is falling apart at the Jets.
I don't agree, but I don't hate the argument.
Good.
Rodgers is the most talented quarterback I've ever watched play.
Not questioning on the talent. I'm just saying level of career, like same amount of Super Bowl.
I don't know their stats, but I feel like Rodgers has way better numbers.
They were in the same division together for quite a long time, and Rodgers won the division a lot more. But that's Matthew Stafford was a Detroit Lion. What more do you want? All right, Jay. Overreaction number 3.
The Vikings are real Super Bowl contenders.
That's an interesting overreaction number 3, because my overreaction number 3 is actually Kevin O'Connell will go down as the greatest Viking coach of all time at the end of his career.
I don't hate it.
Yeah, I think
all Vikings fans will say Bud Grant, but that's 4 Super Bowls in like the 1800s, right?
4 Super Bowl appearances.
Right. In the 1800s. Yeah. It was in the 70s. In my lifetime, Denny Green was the best Vikings coach ever, but I don't hate the idea that KOC goes down as.
Yeah, I just think he just looks unbelievable in the way that he's running the Vikings offense. Like the way that the Minnesota Vikings organization looks at the minute looks like people want to be there and people don't want to leave. Like that's what it looks like.
Daniel Jones turned down like 4 other places to come to our practice squad. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's like isn't Minnesota one of the nicest states to live in terms of standard of living and things like that.
Standard of living, and summer is amazing. Spring and summer, fall, amazing, because it's literally the land of 10,000 lakes. But the winters are worse than ours. Brutal.
Yeah, but at least you're playing football, and you're playing football indoors.
Correct.
Which is a big thing. So yeah, and I think obviously if he makes the Vikings, because I think he's so brilliant, he's now got. It's interesting when you have a coach as good as KOC, and it's the same with Kyle Shanahan. You don't need to keep quarterbacks. You don't need to be ransomed to quarterbacks. They've got 10 double-digit seasons with 2 different quarterbacks now. So I think that he puts them in a really good position. Jay, it's overreactions. It's been a bit of a Vikings loving recently, and that is going to continue in the segment, my favorite segment, GMJ. This is where we put our resident specialist GM, Jay. We put him in the hot seat for some of the most difficult questions in the NFL. And Jay, I'm just going to do a Sam Darnold special right now. I think the hardest question that the Minnesota Vikings team has to answer is whether to keep Sam Darnold or whether to roll the dice with JJ McCarthy, right? That's the question that they have to ask themselves.
No, I think that's the question the outside world keeps asking. They already have the answer. Like, Sam's gone.
Yeah. I agree with you. And that's why I wanted to go into this. If you're then other GMs and Sam Darnold is there and he is your option, how are you comparing to the other options that are out there for you to pick as a GM? So you're in any organization, you're comparing Sam Darnold to these other options here, Jay. So Sam Darnold or Kirk Cousins?
Sam Darnold, he's younger.
Yeah, I don't think that we saw Kirk Cousins also probably won't be an option. But Jay, Sam Darnold or Bo Nix this season?
It's because he's a younger rookie. It's probably Bo Nix, but Sam Darnold's playing better.
Yeah, do you know what? The difference in age actually isn't that big.
Peyton wanted him, and he chose Minnesota over Denver. Just throw that out there.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know how old Sam Darnold is?
28.
Oh, right, okay. Bo Nix is only 20. Bo Nix is like an older rookie. He's 24. So it's,
Still 4 years, though. And in the NFL, that's a lifetime.
Yeah, definitely. Jay, Sam Darnold or Tua Tagovailoa?
I think if you put Sam Darnold on that fucking Miami team with like a coach, maybe a different coach, because I'm losing my faith in McDaniels, you could see something. But I really like Tua too. So Sam, because he's cheaper.
Yeah, I think the cheaper plays into it with Sam Darnold as well, right? And I think with Miami, I think if it's Miami, you're going to stay with Mike McDaniels into next year, right? And if it's Miami, you stick with Tua and you stick with Mike McDaniels. I'm more thinking if it's Miami, Tua gets another head injury, you want Sam Darnold there. Like, that's the kind of guy that you would want there. And I think Sam Darnold seems to be considered a really intelligent football guy as well, so can break down a lot of schemes. Jay, Sam Darnold or Jameis Winston? Jameis Winston coming off nearly breaking the record for yardage in the NFL.
Sam Darnold.
The quarterback with an even bigger interception problem than Sam Darnold.
And Sam Darnold's not corny and eating W's on the sideline.
Jay, Sam Darnold, we're going to move into some more rookie questions now, but Sam Darnold or Caleb Williams?
Caleb.
Yeah, I think Caleb Williams on this season, right? Like Caleb had a bad game.
He's just got all the talent in the world. He's got all the talent in the world, and he's a rookie, and I just think with the right coach, he could be amazing.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Caleb has all the talent in the world, and I think he had a bad game this weekend, and he was playing really well, and then had a bad game this weekend, and everybody's fallen off again.
And I already think they packed up and they're ready for the season to be over.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you on that one. So now moving in to whether you're going to pick Sam Darnold or a member of the rookie class here. Sam Darnold or Shedeur Sanders? You have Shedeur Sanders sat there on the draft board.
Shedeur, because just the talent, I got to risk it.
Yeah, just the talent, and obviously Sam Darnold is cheaper than veteran quarterbacks, but he's not cheaper than rookie quarterbacks as well. Jay, Sam Darnold or Jalen Milroe?
Sam Darnold.
Yeah, I would take Sam Darnold over Jalen as well. But Jay, I thought this one was the most interesting. Sam Darnold, and it's the final one. Sam Darnold or Cameron Ward?
Do they both have? Who's their coach? Like, if you're going to send them to KOC, then I might go younger. But if you're going to send them to like the Raiders, you're better off with Sam Darnold.
Who's going to be the team? Who's going to be the team that he could go to there? That could be the question. So it'll be the Raiders will be the worst team in the NFL.
Or the Giants.
Or the Giants. But whoever the worst team in the NFL is gets Shedeur Sanders. So it's whoever the second worst team is. So it's the Raiders or the Giants. That's the
Then I want Sam Darnold because I don't trust either of their coaches.
Yeah, and I think Cam Ward is a bit more of a project. Like Shedeur Sanders has just crazy amounts of talent, is a project as well. But you take that on because that's what you do when you have the first round pick. But yeah, Cameron Ward, I agree. Well, we agreed on most of those. All right, so that was Sam Darnold, but that was the segment otherwise known as GMJ. All right, Jay, moving into our Week 14 awards. This is where we give out our MVP and rookie MVP for Week 14. Jay, who is your MVP for Week 14 in the NFL?
Well, here should come a fucking shock since it's a show full of Sam Darnold.
The Sam Darnold special show. We should have just called the show title Sam Darnold. Like, that's it. I think so. I thought you were going to go for Jordan Addison.
But no, because JJ had a huge game too, so it got to be Sam, right? Like, exactly. JJ went for 132, Addison went for 133.
Yeah, I've gone a very similar route there. It's a player that we've already spoken about having an amazing game, but because his other wide receiver also had a great game, it has to be the quarterback. rookie MVP of Week 14, Matthew Stafford, I think, for his performance against the Bills. Although Josh Allen could have also got the MVP there in a losing game. Jay, rookie MVP.
49er safety Malik Mustafa. I fucked that name up.
Yeah. The 49ers put up a great defensive performance, which was really like what they've been looking for a while. Yeah. Jay, my rookie MVP is Tampa Bay wide receiver Jalen McMillan. I felt when you were watching that game, he just popped off the screen to me. I was like, oh yeah, that guy's a wide receiver in the NFL. Like that guy makes sense to me as a wide receiver in the NFL. As an unknown name. So there's other wide receivers who played better football this season, but I feel like no one's been talking about Jalen McMillan, and he looked really good. There's also like a couple of honorable mentions. Isaac Guerrero.
Yeah, I was going to pick him, but I picked him for the fantasy players, so I didn't want to double dip.
Didn't want to double dip on that one. All right, Jay, moving on to week 15 of the NFL season. Excited to get week 15 in the bank, to be fair, because I'm on a bye this week in the playoffs on a bye. So excited to just get this over with and get back into fantasy here. But Jay, the 49ers are going up against the Rams. The 49ers are 3-point favorites in this game. Jay, were these the two most impressive teams of week 14, not including the Vikings?
Yeah. I was it's hard to say this, but I was so impressed with the Bills in a loss.
Yeah, I thought the Bills were incredible in a loss, which makes the Rams even more impressive as well in that game. But Jay, I think a performance that went really under the radar from what I'm looking on talk shows is the 49ers. Like the 49ers performance has gone really under the radar. The Bears team is decent, and the 49ers team is banged up, injured. Basically felt like their season was over, like last week when McCarthy went down injured and they got blown out by the Bills. And they came back and they played what I thought was impressive was they played San Francisco 49ers football, where it was George Kittle went off, Brock Purdy made the passes he had to make, and the running game was stout, and the defense was stout as well.
Yeah, I thought the 49ers played well. Well enough to where their rookie got my MVP.
Yeah, definitely. Their rookie safety got the MVP. George Kittle was also in the running for my just MVP of the week. And Isaac Guerrero was also in the running for my rookie MVP of the week. So they played incredibly well. Jay, what does this win kind of tell us about the 49ers moving forward? Does it show that the DNA is still there? They just need to rebuild the pieces on top of it? Or was it a flash in the pan for you?
No, it just shows that they can get pressure. They're the same old 49ers. If they can't get pressure, they're in trouble.
Yeah, their whole defensive system is, which I suppose all defensive systems are predicated on getting pressure, right?
Right, but they were predicated on their front four getting there.
Yeah.
Now they have to do some things, and you got to keep doing the things to get that pressure. So it's going to come down to the defensive coordinator creating openings, because you don't have four guys like last year who are just going to get off the line and disrupt it.
Yeah, it's like in Dan Quinn's offense for the Dallas Cowboys last year, or in Brian Flores' defense for the Vikings this year. They're more predicated not on just the front four, because they don't have the talent just straight up on the front four, just beat you. Therefore, it's about the stunts that they pull off with their amazing athletic players and the stuff that just an offense wouldn't predict to see. And it's about being unpredictable. The 49ers have for a long time just been like, you're going to know what's coming. Like, we understand you're going to know what's coming and you're not going to be able to stop it. It's the same with their defense and the same with their offense. And they don't have the talent on that ball. So I think the DNA is still there for them from what I've seen. They've found a way to get the defense back up, and I think it's just about retooling now rather than rebuilding. I was more towards rebuilding last week, but after that performance, I think I'm more on retooling again, which is slightly different, but only slightly.
I'm still on the page of you don't pay Brock Purdy.
Yeah, I still believe in don't pay. There's no need to pay Brock Purdy in this 49ers team. Like, there's no need to. That's not what they require. And it's not, I genuinely, to the bottom of my heart, don't think it's the type of quarterback that Kyle Shanahan wants. I think he wants a dual threat. I think he's shown it, like when he went to go get Trey Lance.
That, and I think he'd love to have Kirk Cousins right now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess Kirk Cousins is a bit of an older Brock Purdy style quarterback, like very similar style.
But he's been playing rough. But with Shanahan, we all know Kirk can be an assassin and is accurate. Will do the right thing.
Yeah, definitely. But I can't get past seeing the thought of Justin Fields in a 49ers uniform. Like I can't get past that because Justin Fields, I think, can make throws if you tell him exactly the throw he has to make. Like if you say, right, all you have to do, no, because the Bears' offense was about him reading the field. I don't think the 49ers is about him reading the field.
I watched him play. I watched him play in Pittsburgh, and he still throws like shit.
Still, I don't know. I think that's about him reading the field. I think, honestly, I'm not going to I'm not standing him as an amazing quarterback. I just think in the 49ers, he could do like interesting and special things. And I think it's more what Kyle Shanahan wants. You know, obviously, ideally, he'd have like a Jaden Daniels. Like Jaden Daniels would be the perfect Kyle Shanahan quarterback.
We'll find out in the offseason.
Yeah, let's see what happens on that one. Jay, but I think the biggest thing going into this game is so the 49ers are going to run the ball. And the Rams have a pretty stout defense in terms of running the ball as well. Sometimes something that we did mention that. So the Bills defense does fall apart, but I didn't expect the Rams defense to fall apart either. I just thought the Rams defense should always be kind of middle of the road, but they fell apart against the Bills as well, which I thought was strange. I think that whole game was a bit of an anomaly on the defense. But Jay, can the 49ers defense slow down the Rams' weapons? Kyron Williams out of the backfield, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, Tutu Atwell comes up with big catches and third down and long situations.
So the 49ers can slow down that offense, but it's not their defense that's going to do it. Run the ball, time of possession, make sure you score. You get red zone, you get touchdowns in the red zone, you get field goals on drives. You make drives take long, prolong, keep that defense off the field. Like, I think that's how they win the game. I think that's how you slow down. You take away possessions by eating up the clock.
I think we are back to that because the passing game has got so overpowered in the NFL. I think we are back to the time of run game, play defense. Not because that's the best way to score points, but because that's the best way to control the game. Like, I think most of the time, if you control the time of possession. Now, I do believe that the Rams had quite a decent amount less possession than the Bills last week by a decent amount of time. But I think that game was just an anomaly going forward there as well. Jay, the Rams are, the 49ers are 3-point favorites in this game. Who you got?
They're favorites? I thought they were dogs. They're favorites?
The 49ers are 3-point favorites in this game.
Oh, they are favorites.
Let me just check that. Yeah, they're favorites.
Oh, I don't know why when I looked, I thought they were dogs in this game.
On DraftKings, if you want to sponsor us, I always use your betting stuff, but the 49ers are 3-point favorites against the Rams. I guess it's on home field, so if it was on a neutral field, they'd be calling this a wash.
I'm thinking now because I thought it was the other way around. So now I'm thinking. All right, give me the Rams, but fuck, I pray the 49ers win this game. I thought the 49ers were dogs, so I was going to take them because I think it's going to be close. Yeah. So I flipped it and was like, give me the Rams and the points because I still think it's going to be close.
Yeah, I think as soon as you were questioning, oh, hang on, I thought the 49ers were the dogs. I was like, oh, surely this means you should go for the Rams if you were going to pick like.
I was going to pick the Niners as the dogs, but because I think it's going to be close. So give me the Rams, but fuck, do I hope I'm so wrong on this.
In this one, I'm taking the Rams as well. I think the Rams play. I think their offense is just overpowered at the moment, and I think their defense is stout enough to cope here. And they always play each other really hard. Sean McVay has a decent. Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan always go at it with each other as well. This is actually, Jay, one of my lock bets of the week. The Rams as 3-point dogs, mainly because there's not loads of great bets again this week. Looking through,
I had 5 of them. I had to whittle it down to 3.
All right, good for you, man. What was funny last week, Jay, is so we'll move on to the next segment. But we both, I actually went 8 and 5 in total. Yes, like last week, so winning record. But then on my best bets went 1 and 2. So like I was saying like this is such a horrible week for betting. I think we're gonna do really bad last week, and like actually the actual games 8 and 5. But the actual best bets 1 and 2, really strange. But yeah, one of my best bets of this week is the Rams +3. We are now moving into our segment, which is best bets. Jay, we're doing well on this year. We're both winning records in our best bets, is where we pick 3 best bets every single week against the spread. Jay, my number 1 is the Rams tonight against the 49ers as 3-point favorites. Who is your number 1 best bet?
Chiefs -4 at the versus the Browns.
I was gonna, that was one of the ones that I was like, okay, that's a pretty nice, easy take. Just the amount of 1 point. So it's not even 1 score games with the Chiefs anymore. It's 1 point games with the Chiefs at the moment.
They're hearing this shit. They're coming out playing.
I feel like this is the time of this is what happened last year. What people keep on forgetting is we had this exact same thing last year, apart from the Chiefs now have exactly the same amount of wins as they had last year with 3 games to go. The Chiefs came into the season, didn't look like the Chiefs anymore. And then when they were going into the playoffs, they just switched it on and just looked way better than everybody else. They play the game to play 20 games. They play the game to win 20 games. That's how long their season is. I feel like when you watch other teams like the Lions, for example, they're playing the regular season and then they play the playoffs. So I agree with you. I think this is one of the weeks where the Chiefs start to turn it on. And also, Jay, the Browns offense against the Chiefs defense is a mismatch. They're probably going to get yards, but they're not going to get points, the Browns. Yeah. Okay. My second bet of the week, Jay. Oh, no, I took this off. I've got it on the... I took this off when I remember that George Pickens was out. I was going to go for the Steelers +5.5, but they just look so bad.
You want me to go while you redo your thing?
No, that's okay. My second pick of the week, Jay, is Seahawks +2.5 versus the Packers. I like the way that the Seahawks defense is playing. I'm not a big believer in the Packers. I'm not a big believer in the Packers. I'm not a believer in them, and I love the way that the Seahawks defense is playing.
I hope you're right. I don't know who I'm picking, but I hope you're right. So my number 2 pick of the week is Broncos -4 versus the Colts.
Jay, my third pick of the week is Broncos -4 versus the Colts. Do you want to go into why you'll take the Broncos in that one?
Because the Colts are complete ass.
Yeah, I think looking at the game,
Broncos are playing good, and you're not going to run against the Broncos. That's how the Colts have to win the game. They have to run it. And the Broncos figure out how to get enough yardage to get points.
Yeah, with the Broncos, their defense is so good. Like, whenever I watch their defense, I just think, yeah, like, this is a defense. And then Bo Nix and Sean Payton, I think, have something going where I agree with you. They just play the kind of game that they have to win. So that was my third best bet of the week as well, Jay. Jay, what is your third best bet of the week?
All right, lock it down, everybody. Here it is. Bills +2.5 versus the Lions. Lock it in. The Bills are going to win this fucking game. The Bills are pissed that they lost last week. The Bills are going to win this fucking game, and the NFC North is going to come down to the final game of the season.
This was a game where I just can't pick. Like, I couldn't pick this one at all.
Yeah, I feel it in my gut. I feel it.
in those situations where I can't pick, I always go underdog, like pretty much every single time where I can't pick. Do you worry that you're feeling it just because you want it to happen really badly?
No, because I really feel it. Like, it might not happen, but I really feel like the Bills have the team that can beat the Lions. And I think the Lions have got away with so much lucky shit. At some point, it's going to come to a head. And I don't think they've played a quarterback like fucking Josh Allen all year.
I think Josh Allen is going to expose those defensive injuries. That's where, like, I think those defensive injuries, Josh Allen will expose those. That's the kind of quarterback he is. Who did they get? Who did they play last week? The Lions. It was the Packers, right?
Yeah.
I don't think Jordan Love exposes the defensive line. The defensive line, I thought the Lions played, they just didn't try anything special. They just played very standard defensive line. And if you do that against Josh Allen, he's going to just run for plenty of yards. He's going to throw from outside the pocket for plenty of yards as well. And I think those injuries do come back to haunt them. And again, Jay, I think the Lions are a team that they've played the regular season so hard, they've only got themselves to blame at this point.
No, I agree with you that the Lions defensive line is beat up and you got to keep Josh Allen. And if he starts running on you, then you move guys up to stop that. Then he starts throwing on you down the field.
Yeah, that's pretty much it once you're in that situation. If Josh Allen can start running on you, then it's close to game over unless you can do what the Rams did and just absolutely blow out that defense, which, I mean, the Lions can do. The other way, the way that the Lions the way that the Lions win that game is they just run the ball and Josh Allen doesn't see the field. That's the way that the Lions could play that game as well. But Jay, great show. Week 15 is coming up. Really excited. Big game tonight. Huge NFC West title. Guys, if you enjoyed the show, like, comment, share, and Jay, send us out like you always do.
All right, everybody. And don't forget, it's Winter Whiteout Monday in Minnesota at US Bank Stadium. They're debuting their Winter Whiteout uniforms. It should be fucking great. I love them. The white helmets. But make sure you hit the like and subscribe. Make sure you check out MMA Underground. Make sure you check out College Football Junkies. And we just thank you for your support. Like, comment, everything else. Thank you, guys. One world, one love. Deuces.
Cheerio.